tried making this video a minute ago and I didn't have my microphone on. 8 minutes of golden content, which was not recorded. Anyway, this is Shoko Asahara. Shoko Asahara, well-known cult leader, killed in Japan justly by the state last year. And he was a dangerous cult leader. There was no umming or ahhing, no question that he was in fact the guilty party. He incited his followers, many of whom were educated individuals, to carry out acts of terrorism, including the sarin gas attack on the Japanese tube system, their subway system. And basically he was one evil fuck. He claimed to be enlightened after going up a mountain in Tibet for 3 days. Came back down, I'm enlightened. And people who saw him after he came back down were surprised that he came down so quickly and made such a claim. But in any case, he started an organisation, started a cult, and many people who look at that cult go, yeah, that's a dangerous cult. And they'll look at the traits of what a dangerous cult is, what they do, and they'll go, oh yeah, but we don't have those traits there. Well, what about those ones? Oh yeah, we have some of those, but you can overstate that. Those really bad and really obvious tells, we don't have those. Well, you have that to a degree. Well, yeah, but not in the same way. So you have a charismatic leader. Yeah. You have a person who's passing on group conformity. Well, they're enlightened. Oh, right. So what's the difference between your guru and this guru? There's a lot of... they haven't killed anyone yet, at least not officially. Many of these bumbling cult leaders do kill people. Just through their neglect, through their philosophy, through their lack of thought, really. Like Teal Swan and her views on suicide. And for that matter, many of her people talking about suicide as well. They don't realise the damage they can do. But they're not dangerous cults. They're not Charles Manson, they're not Shoko Asahara, they're not Jim Jones, they are not Marshall Applewhite. They are spiritual gurus, I suppose. Teachers, revolutionaries. Teal Swan calls herself a revolutionary. But in any case, people taking on the belief, which isn't as extreme as the worst case scenario, but still can be immensely harmful. Scientologists who not only avoid recreational, illegal drugs, but also avoid medical drugs. The result, many people die much younger because they were offered cancer medication, but they rejected it because of their religion. With Falun Gong, same sort of thing. People who are diabetic. But we don't have insulin. Why? Because you believe that your cult can cure you of the insulin. So you wean yourself off it. You think, hey, I'm okay right now. I'll continue, and I don't need the medication because of spiritual energy. Scientology and Falun Gong share this quackery based on a kind of traditionalist view of self-healing. In the case of Scientology, it's a kind of mystical woo relating to willpower, amongst other things. In Falun Gong, it's relating to traditional Chinese practices, flow of energy, etc. It's very similar in some ways, but different in others. And there are similar ideas all over the world. There are people in spiritualism who do the same sort of thing, but it's not core doctrine, and many people in many more moderate beliefs, more moderate religions and practices and spiritualities, they are at least sane enough to say, stick with modern medicine. But there are those who say, you don't need to give your kids vaccines, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, you don't need to, give someone medicine if they have cancer. We can cure cancer, some healers have said. What's his name? Was it Stephen Churoff? I forget now. A particular healer in the UK who claimed to cure cancer. Another one called Miller. I forget his name now. Was it? No, not Alan Miller. Adam Miller. Adam Miller in the United States. A healer claimed to be able to heal people of cancer. He put it on his website. And when he was exposed, he took it all off his website and stopped his business for a while at least. Other people have made very similar claims, very similar notes. These are harmful cult traits. the popes over many generations. The popes of the Roman Catholic Church basically covering up pedophile priests. Massively dangerous cult activity. I think the key differences between the obviously dangerous cults and the everyday, conformist cultures, or cultures of conformity, whichever way you wish to express it, is that they're more socially accepted. I think the average Christian is seen as being quite benign, even if some Christian sects practice harmful beliefs or preach certain harmful ideas, like the idea that anything which comes up medically should be healed by the miracle church. Our prayers and healing, laying on of hands, will do more good than going to see the doctor. It's like your kid has got meningitis. Come on, get real. You might need to go and see a doctor. I would rather these nut jobs with the anti-medical view go and seek medical attention and then thank God after the doctor does his job, or the doctor does her job. There's a lot more women in medicine nowadays. The older doctors tend to be majority men, and the newer doctors tend to be majority women, which is an interesting shift in the landscape. But regardless of that, I'd rather they go and see a real doctor and then, do that. But this anti-medical view and jump into opinions and support of conspiracy theories and much, much more, this fear, segregation, separation in our society in certain cases, it's a harmful trait. The paranoia promoted within spiritualism and within New Age, actually, not spiritualism so much, but the spiritual movement. Conspiracy theories to do with the Illuminati, people believing reptilian conspiracy theories and David Icke, Alex Jones conspiracy theories perhaps. A lot of it's harmful. Psychologically harmful. You avoid going to see certain people, doing certain things. You end up ruining your life, causing suffering within your life. It's harmful. It's not murder, but occasionally it dribbles over that kind of belief. When you have a David Icke fan who puts a big V on the wall after he just shot a politician, or a person who shoots up a location because they think it's justifiable. That's when it crosses the line into the extremes. You have thousands of churches in America where they're preaching every Sunday, and sometimes every day of the week actually, but every Sunday consecutively they're preaching the theme that abortionists are evil, that they don't deserve to live, that they are the lowest of the low, they are carrying out murder on a daily basis. It takes one nut job who listens to that and has a bad day, or perhaps takes the preaching of the mad minister who's at the front of the church, or the preacher at the front of the church, and decides to go and kill a abortionist or try and burn down an abortion clinic or whatever the case may be. The line is crossed, at which point it is a form of terrorism not directly incited, well, I suppose incited, but not directly commanded by the preacher who acts as a kind of guru or cult leader or spiritual teacher. There isn't much difference. I mean, cut out all the variables. I don't care if you're a Buddhist, a Christian, or whatever the case may be. Remember, Shoko Asahara was a Buddhist. His organisation was broadly Buddhist. Falun Gong, with its practices, broadly Buddhist. The leaders claim to be a Buddha, an enlightened person reaching that point of oneness, of awareness, of collected enlightenment. Their mind is collected in such a way. They are one. But people ignore that and they simply say, no, they're cults. Like they do with ISIS. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, yeah, but they're not really Muslim, are they? Well, the Westboro Baptist Church, I guess they're really not, they're not really Christians. It's easy enough to do that, but the underlying problem is still there. And it roots into the mainstream of belief for those different types of belief. A slight variation, a slight mutation, you end up with a dangerous organisation. So just think about that. They could go further. They could go to the extreme and end up, releasing sarin gas and killing a number of people. They could become a political organisation and promote certain dangerous elements within society and have a certain doomsday ideology. Not with Shoko Asahara, but with, what's his name? Master Lee Hongxi? I can't pronounce his name properly. Anyway, Master Lee supports Donald Trump and claims that he is some kind of end times prophet. Literally. Whereas many Christian cults claim that he's also some kind of great prophet put in place by God. How psychotic is this? Just people thinking they know more. And it only takes a bit more effort for these people to become truly dangerous. Like with Jim Jones. He basically was technically Christian, true. But he also put the Bible to one side a lot of the time and said, well, they don't want us getting on because you're black and I'm white. And all this kind of shit. And, I know they hate you because I'm a white man. I know what they're thinking. And he was trying to get all people to come together. Not a terrible thing to get all people to come together. And admitting there is hatred. But seeing enemies everywhere? That's stupid. Crazy, in fact. Extraordinary and extreme. It's a problem with ideology, and it's to do with devotion. When you're so devoted to a belief, you'll do anything. If it's a good guru or a relatively good belief, you won't do any harm. You might even help people. Like you might be a good Jain, or you might be a good Buddhist. You might be a good Hindu or good Sikh, a good Muslim, Christian, or Jew, or even a good atheist or whatever. It doesn't matter. You'd be a good person because you have a good ideology, and you're a good person anyway. But sometimes you get fooled. That to be a good person, you have to do things in order to be a good person. And sometimes, for the greater good, you have to do terrible things. That's what we end up with that young lad in London the other day who came out of prison. He was radicalised, he went into prison, released early. They thought, well, he'll be okay. Comes out, stabs some people, yelling Allah Akbar or something to that effect. For the greater good. That's what he reckons. Almost certainly. Because you can justify being a good person by doing terrible things. If you have the right, or should I say the wrong kind of ideology. Anything is justifiable. Anything. Just because it's for the greater good.